Hello, once again. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good? Hopefully, everyone is doing great on this Tuesday. Boxing never stops, and neither do WCS when it comes to the boxing and MMA combat sports media. Salute to everyone that's pulling up to the live chat. Your support is truly appreciated. If you choose to donate to the channel, feel free to do so. There go the Cash App right there. For those of you that's curious and don't cap, don't cap. If you truly support the channel, you know what I'm saying? It's WCS Sports, via Cash App. Today, I have a rising prospect in the game, turning professional. His name is Andrew Murphy, training out of Roy Jones Jr. stable in Pensacola, Florida, man. Had the opportunity to see this guy train before, spar, seen him on several occasions at boxing matches, and he's stepping in the ring for his first professional fight. And that's always positive. You're stepping in there, turning professional, and becoming official. You know what I'm saying? That's what we look forward to. So once again, we have another one on deck. A young lion in the game, stepping in this weekend for his first professional fight. Roy Jones Jr. trained fighter. And like I said before, very promising rising prospect in the sport of boxing. Very tough. He has height on him. He can get down when it's time to get down, or he can box. And pay attention. He should be joining me. A little bit. Mark Nash in the building, Breaking Beats. Salute to you. Be sure to check out Mark Nash Breaking Beats. But yeah, man, just give him a minute before he gets on. Salute to everyone that's in the building. Share the content if you feel like that's something you choose to do. But look, why he get on here, why he's in the process of joining. Okay, he's on right now. Andrew, what is good, my friend?
Man, what's going on? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I know you're busy. You got to step into the ring. First and foremost, salute to you for joining World Combat Sports, man. Hey, let them know where you out of, man. What's your weight class?
Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name's Andrew Murphy. I'm from Yakima, Washington, fighting out of Pensacola, Florida. I'm a middleweight. I'm on the come up here, about to make my pro debut here on the 27th, and I'm just looking forward to it.
So just to remind the fans who may not know that, Andrew, what weight class you going to be contending in this weekend?
160 pounds.
So you're in the middleweight division. Is this a division that you feel comfortable with, that you're going to be competing in for most part of your the front side of your career?
Yes, sir. I mean, and the amateurs, I made some noise at 165. Currently on BoxRec, I'm number 4 in the nation at 165. So it's a little 5 pounds. It's no thing. I've made the weight before. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really ready, and I'm just ready to do it.
Hey, I've seen you in sparring before, man. Your name, your team is Team Lightning, and you was bringing the lightning and the thunder. You know what I'm saying?
Got to.
So what's special about your skill set, man?
Man, I think what's special about my skill set is just, and even more that I've added to my skill set since you came down, is just I think I'm a thinking fighter.
Okay.
I know everybody. There's a lot of athletes out there. There's plenty of people that are athletic, but you take athleticism and you put some skill, some will. You know what I mean? Put some skill and some will in there, and then you got something special. I feel like that's something that I bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I remember being down there for your sparring session. And just so happened that one opposition stepped in there with an attitude problem. You shut his ass down.
Yeah.
But you weren't talking in any trash.
No,
Just let
sir.
your hands do the talking. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly. What more do I have to do, man? You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
Look, hey, words don't win fights. These do. You know it?
Yeah, for sure, man. You trained down there in Pensacola, Florida, Roy Jones Jr., man. How's that experience been for you? Learning more to your skill set, growing as a fighter.
Definitely. When I came down the first time to Roy's, I was training for the Las Vegas Golden Gloves, right? So you win the Washington, you go to the regional in Las Vegas, which I won the year previously, right? The first time I came down, I was training for that. Said, all right, this is good. And he had blown my mind. I learned so much in just a few weeks. I think it was 3 weeks that I was down here. It was just amazing, right? It just totally just blew my mind. So, I said, all right, I went back home and COVID hit, right? Well, look, COVID sidelined everything. So I
Yeah.
said, okay, well, I came down here and I've just been sparring with some of the best, Kevin Newman, Chris Eubanks. Shout out to Chris Eubanks. Shout out Kevin Newman. Shout out Glenn Hagler. Plenty of top guys that I really enjoy in the gym, and that really pushed me to that professional level. And I said, and Roy said, Andrew, you're a pro fighter. What are you doing in the amateurs? You know what I mean? You're a professional. I said, okay. So then we decided to go there.
And when Roy told you that, did you have confidence at that moment that you were a professional fighter? Or were you saying, okay, my mindset, I'm still growing as an amateur, you know what I'm saying, to get to that point?
Look, I tell you what, when Roy Jones tells you, hey, you ready, man, you better believe it. I think he might know a little thing or two.
That's
But
what I'm talking about.
even then, still growing. Like you said, still growing. I think that, just because I am taking the pro route and I'm going pro now, that doesn't mean I'm not still growing. I learn something new all the time, especially coming from somebody great like Roy. Look at the growth in someone like, for example, my boy Michael Williams. You were just down there. You've seen him grow as a fighter. You know what I mean? Roy constantly adds new things to your game. And if you ain't adding things to your game, then what are you doing? Anybody can go in there and punch a bag. Come on now. It's about being smart and learning. And that's what I feel he has brought to the table to me. And I'm very excited to fight this weekend because even since my last sparring, I tell you what, I've changed, man. I've changed.
Okay.
I'm a fighter now. I think you will be very impressed.
Okay, for sure, man. I look forward to stepping back down there and see you spar again anyway, man. I know you constantly growing. Roy has talked, big about you, had a lot of positive words about your growth process as a fighter. So where you headed this weekend, man, for your first professional debut?
I'm headed down to, I think it's Patacuro, Mexico. It's in Michoacan. So yeah, I'm headed down there. I leave I think it's Wednesday.
So this will be your first time actually. Have you had the opportunity to travel with other fighters to Mexico, or this is going to be your first time period?
First time.
Okay, for sure. So I hope everything work out with you down there, man. Are you on weight, or you probably have a couple more pounds to lose, or what?
Just a few pounds, I'll be good. Just a few pounds ain't nothing. So, but I'm on weight, and look, I'm telling you, I'm feeling good, man. I'm telling you, look, I haven't felt this good before a fight in quite a while. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. So that spells trouble for your opposition. You know what I'm saying? You're going in there to handle business. Tell me what you think about the middleweight division as a whole. Those individuals that's much more experienced than you that you see on TV all the time. What's your assessment of the middleweights at this point in time in boxing?
The middleweight division, as we've seen that right now, from my understanding, Charlo is ruling it, right? So, but from what I see, a lot of the middleweights that were there, a couple of years ago, they're just all moving up to super middle, right? They're all moving up to super middle. Well, they're all chasing that fight with Canelo. So, if we're going to talk about, divisions, I think that the super middleweight division is really where everything, where all the action is really going to go down, where the big fights are about to happen.
Do you believe Charlo 160, right, the WBC world champion, do you believe his first fight, if he chooses to move up to 68, let's just say hypothetically it was going to happen. Who do you see as a good matchup at 168 for Jamal Charlo?
For Jamal Charlo, I would like to see him fight Benavidez. I think that's a good fight. you know, and just on like social media, you know, everybody says, oh, this fight gonna happen, this fight gonna happen. Well, when I see it, then, you know, then I'll be excited for it. But that's something that I really want to see right there.
That's what's up, man. For many people that have heard about, you know, training in Pensacola, Florida on Roy Jones Jr., you know, Bodyhead Island. What's a day like for Andrew Murphy, you know, stepping over there? I seen your video, man. Hey, salute to whoever did the videography.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
Shout out to my boy Eric. My boy Eric
yeah,
Mitchell. Yeah, Eric Mitchell.
I like that, man. You know, showing you getting up early in the morning, opening up the gym and all that. What's a day like for Andrew Murphy, you know, starting training down there, man, at Bodyhead Island?
Yep. So typically what I do is I wake up in the morning, I will get up early, you know, I go on my runs, I do that, you know, I do some sprints and all that. And then I actually do a little bit of strength and conditioning. See, what a lot of people don't, I work at a title boxing club, okay? So you know how it is being a young fighter and stuff. So I actually get to train people. So I'm really boxing all day. So then I go and I train people, then I head back home. I head straight out to Bodyhead Island. And I go to work out there, and I'm out there, you know, for sometimes 4, sometimes 5 hours, you know. So,
do you run on his property? I know he has a lot of room. Do you run on his property, or you run outside the property?
Every now and then, yeah, I run out there every now and then, and sometimes in the morning I head out there as well.
Okay, that's what's up. I mean, I know it's a lot of space over there. What's another activity that you didn't have any experience with before you start training with Roy Jones Jr.? I know he have y'all doing a lot of extra countrified type of training techniques.
Man, chasing chickens. What?
Okay.
Chasing chickens like Rocky. You know it? Man, that's how I knew. Look, you want to know confidence boosters? I knew just the other day I chased the chicken down took me about 45 seconds. I said, okay. I said, okay, I'm ready. So
you got to know which way the chicken's going to cut corners and all that shit, right? Okay,
yes,
I got you. I got you.
Got to be light on the toes.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you say you about to head down there now, man. When you all stepping out to go to Mexico, man? Wednesday, Thursday, what?
Wednesday. Yeah, we head down Wednesday.
That's what's up, man. Yeah. It's always a pleasure there, Andrew. I know you running running for time right now. You know you're very busy, boxer. You about to tighten things up before you go to Mexico. But it's always good to see you. You know what I'm saying? Cool operator. I look forward to you going in there, picking up that first professional victory, my brother. And also, don't hesitate, man. You know what it is, man. Hit me up when your next fight, and I don't have no problem dropping down in Florida, man. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. I'd love to have you down here, man. You're a good dude. You know, I hope everything's good with you as well, you know. I see you've been doing some good things over there with Mike's team, and shout out to them, you know, shout out 150, everybody. 300, I love y'all, you know. So
absolutely.
But
one last question, man. How did you come up with the name Team Lightning?
Man, let me tell you something. So look, so I walk in the gym, right? Look, it's no secret. There ain't a lot of white dudes out here in the game of boxing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I walk into the gym, I start throwing some punches with my second trainer. His name's Reed Goyette, right? And Reed goes, "Oh, that's white lightning right there. White lightning, like the moonshine, you know it?" So then it just picked up there, boom, bang. You know, the hands started moving a little bit faster too. So it just all added up. You know it?
I see you committed to that left hook, dog.
Man,
you know, I see you committed to the left hook.
Look, left hook, right hand, it don't matter. Whatever gets the job done, hey, that's what I'm gonna get it done with. You know it?
For sure, man. Where can they follow you on social media there?
Go ahead and give me a follow at Andrew_Murphy00. That's my Instagram. You can add me on Facebook, Andrew Murphy. I think my Twitter is Andrew Murphy00. Y'all see it. Just go ahead and give me a follow there. I'd love to have y'all shoot me questions, anything you need to know.
You know it. Hey, for those of you that's tuned in, this is Andrew Murphy, professional middleweight, making his debut this weekend, training down there at Bodyhead, but representing Team Lightning. You know what it is. Support this young lion in the sport, man. And best wishes to you there, Andrew, this weekend from World Combat Sports, man. You know what it is.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on, man. You always do a great job. You always put out great content, and I'll be tuning in. You know it.
All right, for sure, man. Thank you for dropping through, bro.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, I'm out. Appreciate everyone who pulled up this morning. That was a rising prospect in boxing. Andrew Murphy, man, very promising middleweight in the game. I mean, I've watched him spar. I'm not going to talk too much on the sparring, but I know at that point in time when I watched him spar, he did stop one sparring partner for sure that was talking mad. I'm talking about mad shit, and I don't know what was going on with old boy, but he came in there. He was angry. He was talking shit to Andrew, and Andrew ended up stopping him, dog. I'm gonna tell you, that was some good sparring. I don't know how many of y'all been down to sparring now, Roy Jones Jr. spot, but I witnessed even Chris Eubanks sparring. You know what I'm saying? I witnessed Glenn Hagner Jr. that has a fight coming up. I seen him sparring. You know what I'm saying? That shit was lit. I'm not gonna lie, that was a lit ass sparring session, man. I wasn't able to take pictures of Chris Eubanks. He didn't want that. But I'm like, damn, he looked sharp as shit, man. I ain't gonna lie. Chris Eubanks was showing his ass that day. Andrew Murphy, I think he sparred maybe like 4 or 5 guys that same sparring session. And it was turned up, man. Them dudes was banging it out. I mean, it wasn't no question. It's a different type of sparring that go down there in Bodyhead Island, man. Shout out to T. Williams Jr. He wasn't down there at the time. Michael wasn't down there at the time, but he does train down there at Bodyhead Island also. And also he's 17-0 right now. He just picked up another win over there in Albertsville, Alabama on the 116 box promotion. Shout out to Brandy. Shout out to his pops, Michael Williams Sr., Al Tariq, Money Mike, Marcus, Real Talk TV, all those guys on the team, man. Salute to y'all. Boxing, it's a lot that's going on that I'm hearing, right? I don't know if you heard it, but we've been trying to understand what Jamal Charlo is going to do next. So Jamal Charlo is basically, from my understanding, what the word is the fact that he may be trying to unify the middleweight division. If this is indeed true, how far is he willing to go to unify the middleweight division? And if it's indeed true, that means he won't be moving up to 168 anytime soon, because this is how this is going to work. Gennady Golovkin, we know he's old, right? He's a little bit past that competitiveness, hoopla that we used to see with Jim Lampley exaggerating every freaking time, Gennady Golovkin feigning and shit. Oh, he threw 5 punches when he didn't throw none. But anyway, if he's the step in there with Gennady Golovkin, that's going to be a solid fight, man. He says he has some big news coming up. I just happen to have a little bit of info, but I can't let it out. I hate that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I hate not letting info out. But there is a code that of integrity. If someone drops the news on you and they say don't release it, then that's what you have to do as media. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm happy for the news, though. Real talk, I'm happy. So what does this mean for the middleweight division with Jamal Charlo? Is he going to actually be able to fight Yoda Murata? And will we potentially a miracle happen that Jamal Charlo faced Demetrius Andrade? Is it possible that Charlo can run the gauntlet like his brother Jamel Charlo is doing at 154? Is it possible for him at the middleweight division to give us something that will absolutely interest us? It'll pique our interest in boxing the right way. Jamal Charlo finally, taking some big rights continuously. I mean, some big fights continuously in his division to try to say, okay, I'm the man up here. So first, start off with the weakest link. I ain't gonna lie, Gennady Golovkin, Triple G is the weakest link. Start off with the weakest link. Beat his ass. Go over there and beat Gennady Golovkin's ass. Pick up that belt, that IBF title, and then pick and choose the other two if you plan on unifying the middleweight division for undisputed. That's the shit I'm talking about, Jamal Charlo. If indeed that is what your plan is, to unify the entire division, hell yeah, do this shit. That's what we want to see. What's going on? Trick Noty in the building. Salute, man. Bruce, what's good? Salute at World Combat Sports. What's good, everyone? Michael Lewis in the building. Salute, my brother. Salute, Big Scott. Peace to everyone in the live chat. Peace to you, my brother. You know what it is. Big dog in the building, man. Salute, bro. How y'all feeling today? Andrew Charles in the building. Salute WCS. Shout out to Andrew Murphy. Appreciate that, man. Y'all follow Andrew Murphy on IG, man. Check that young line out in the sport of boxing, make his professional debut. Check out Glenn Hagler Jr. You know, he has a fight coming up too. So check him out. They both training out of Florida down there. But yeah, you know what, Marcello, we're going to keep that what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to go over some topics. If you wasn't here yesterday, I pretty much put up, I pretty much broke the news that Gervonta Davis got right there, 3-time world champion in 2 weight classes. Gervonta Davis is in the process of, you know, some legal ramifications due to his actions that happened in November, okay, of 2020. This was after his tremendous, I'm talking about electric knockout of Leo Santa Cruz. So now we at a point right now, we have to go through the waiting game and see what's going to happen to one of our more prominent stars in the sport of boxing, Gervonta Davis. He's been indicted on 14 counts. 14 counts, in a sense, is a huge number, right? Especially bringing in the fact of how you put it, weighing in on the severity of what he did. He actually hit another vehicle, ran the red light, hit another vehicle, a Toyota Solara, and injured some people that was inside the vehicle. But outside of that, he fled the scene, got out, him and his girl, and then jumped in the Camaro after they retrieved some belongings from the Lambo, and they sped off or whatever. So in between time from November to now, you really haven't heard too much about it. But yes, behind the scenes, it's been a lot of talk about, you know, the process that's pending and disinformation that was finally going to come out. So what does this mean exactly for Gervonta Davis, man? Him being indicted on 14 counts. It all depends on how you look at the judicial scope of let me be careful on how I put this. Just the judicial scope of law and order over there in Baltimore. I'm pretty sure Gervonta Davis is a big deal in Baltimore. Real talk. And if you ever looked at the political side and the enforcement side over there in Baltimore, it's had some trouble. You know what I'm saying? It has some trouble with corruption. And they've been trying to like put band-aids on that department and slowly but surely, you know, sanitize and clean it up a little bit over there in Baltimore. What I'm trying to get at is Gervonta Davis with 14 counts. Do we truly know if he's going to spend a week in jail, a month in jail, or any time in jail at all? Because when it comes down to it, if he's willing to settle with the victims, the 4 victims that was in the Toyota Solara, he could very well remain a free man. Now, who am I? I'm not the type of individuals that wish confinement on Gervonta or any person just because of what they did. I leave that up to the court systems. You know what I'm saying? That's outside my AOR, area of responsibility. I will allow them in Baltimore to do that. But speaking on it last night, I truly believe that Gervonta Davis with 14 counts may get off scotch-free. All right? It's highly possible. It's highly possible. Ricky Hatton came out recently, and, you know, of all people, that was somewhat embroiled as a participant in the Tyson Fury scandal. in Tyson Fury's scandal when he faced Deontay Wilder. Ricky Hatton said that if Dillian White loses to Alexander Povetkin this weekend, his career may indeed be over. I totally understand where Ricky Hatton is coming from. But see, hearing him say it, people may look at it as like, oh, let's take this food for thought. This means something because Ricky Hatton, former champion, let's take it. Ricky Hatton said it. But a lot of people should be saying it. A lot of people should be understanding that if Dillian White loses this fight in the worst way to Alexander Povetkin, maybe either two things should happen. He should take time off for his career, get his mind right, let his body heal, and return back to the sport, or call it a night. Call it a career. Hang the gloves up. Once again, only a fighter knows when their career is over. But when they finally make that decision to say this is it, are they really content on leaving the sport? Some people really can't get the sport out of their head enough to just stay away from it. So they got to come back in, and they might take some smaller fights to build up their confidence a little bit more. And then they say, okay, I'm winning. Not factoring in that you're fighting lower tier opposition now, so you're winning. Then they want to increase their competition because they feel like they're getting back in the game. They feel good. Training's good. Body feel good. Injuries, they're good. Then they step up to top tier competition again, and the game may have changed just a little bit. You might have a different lineup, a different ranking of fighters. And, he goes over there and loses again. It happens all the time in the sport of boxing. Do I feel that Dillian White career is at a crossroads right now if he gets knocked out the way he did in the rematch? In the first fight. If he gets knocked out again in the rematch like he did the first fight, maybe he should just think about, changing teams, taking some time off, reevaluating what's going on with him. But I'm going to tell you like this. I think one of the problems is with Dillian White is his mentality as a man and as a fighter. I think that's what one of his problems is when it comes to a boxer. He's not patient enough. He may have a lapse in judgment because mentally there's some thoughts that's missing the synapses gap. Seriously, he having some communication deficiencies. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing Dillian White in important big fights, and he's making mistakes. You know what I'm saying? That in itself might be something up here with Dillian. It might be something up here with Dillian because he stepped in there with some big names. It might just be his mentality as a person. The punishment he took as a kickboxer, the punishment he took as a professional boxer. It might just be Dillian White. How can you be ahead with Alexander Povetkin, bro? And you go out there and lose focus in one of the biggest fights for you to be the WBC interim, to place yourself in a position where you can potentially ease closer to facing Tyson Fury for the WBC title or Deontay Wilder, whatever the case may be. That was your stepping stone. That was your moving point to elevate yourself into that position you've been yearning for quite some time. Like a lot of people always tell me how Dillian White has been avoided or ducked for a couple of years. He had the WBC title for I don't know how long, and nobody would fight him. Deontay Wilder wouldn't fight him. Him fighting Alexander Povetkin in that first fight was very, very important for him to go in there and get the job done, and he couldn't do it. Not only did he not get the job done when he should have maintained distance, worked the jab and let the knockout present itself again, but what he did was actually just run through the door, guns are blazing, and didn't know his opponent had ammo too. It's just like absolute complacency. You already know you're in a motherfucking firefight. You already know you're armed and your opponent is armed. So therefore, you have to take those necessary defensive cautionary measures so you won't get in trouble like Dillian White did. But what did he do? People said it was a brilliant uppercut. What was brilliant about a fight that you was ahead of? You have to pay attention. You cannot be as complacent there, Dillian. And somehow he had a lapse. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking about. And Alexander Povetkin earned a highlight reel knockout. He's going to have to figure that shit out, y'all. He's going to have to figure that shit out. Bruce in the building, salute to you. Carlos, what's good? He said, my bro Andrew. Yes, sir. Andrew Murphy was on deck. You know what I'm saying? Good dude. Good dude. Hold on for a second, y'all. I forgot my damn. I got to get this charger. Hold on for a second. All right, cool. So next topic is okay. Peep this out. We all know Canelo Alvarez, right? The moves he's been making. Some people agree with it, some people don't. I have to call it the way it is. You know, the moves he's been making. I salute him for making the moves. But then it's certain things that I believe that Canelo Alvarez is able to get a waiver for or pass that other fighters may potentially get criticized for. So Canelo say he wasn't fighting any more Mexican fighters, right? And I tend to believe him, but I can understand where he's coming from when you look at his record and look how many Mexican fighters that he fought in Mexico. It's a lot of Mexican fighters. Look, I have to hold myself accountable to keep it straight across the middle, right? Canelo fought a lot of fights in Mexico. Real talk. I have basically mentioned and criticized other fighters for doing the exact same thing. But look, it's not over the top criticism because these fighters got to build their record up the best way they know how. Everybody cannot be the Vasil Lomachenkos, the Teofimo Lopez's. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be the Gervonta Davises. You know, Terrence Crawford. You know, certain individuals that didn't build their record up extensively over in Mexico, but that boxing stronghold is there for boxers to build their record up. So Canelo said he's not going to fight any more Mexicans. Now, you know, Terrence Crawford comes out and his claim is Canelo has shied away from black fighters. So I really want to know what you think about that. Has Canelo shied away from black fighters? Has he shied away from black fighters? So how long does it have to be, or how often does it have to be for Canelo to fight a black fighter? He fought Daniel Jacobs. Hey, Daniel Jacobs is black, dog. He fought Daniel Jacobs. You know, I mean, how many black fighters have to be in the equation or are inserted in the quota on his box rec to be considered for him fighting black fighters? He fought Daniel Jacobs not too long ago. Real talk. Now, as far as his entire box rec, I can see what people are talking about. But this fighter, look, this fight game, you have black fighters that won't even fight black fighters. So you're not gonna get this energy out of me for to say Canelo is somewhat wrong for not fighting black. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. We got black fighters that won't even fight black fighters. It's mostly a black Mexican affair, and then a Mexican European or a black European affair. That's how it is. But you rarely see solid good fights that include black fighters on a consistent basis. We rarely get the Errol Spence and Sean Porter fights. Rarely. Seriously, we rarely get that type of fight. I'm talking about top tier fighters in the sport fighting one another. You know what I'm saying? In the ranking system, we rarely see that. So, looking at some of these fighters' records, I don't even see a lot of black fighters. Like, if you really want to hold somebody guilty of the charge, I'm pretty sure we can go through the gamut and see how many fighters was in Mexico fighting and how many fighters hasn't fought other black fighters because somebody is feeding them this mental appetizer that black fighters versus black fighters don't sell, right? So you have a lot of black fighters that fight Mexican fighters, Latino fighters, however you want to frame it. But then if you look at Canelo Alvarez, over half of his record, dude was in Mexico. He's 55-1-1. Dude was in Mexico. Or 55-1-2, whatever it is. He was in Mexico for a long time. So is it a point that there are black fighters right now that would like to fight Canelo? I'm pretty sure it is. How long has Canelo been fighting? I mean, he fought Daniel Jacobs, man. He's black. Real talk. He's black. Let me pull something up for you right quick. I don't place too much emphasis into it. If it is, it's very light because hold on for a second. That can't be right. What are these people talking about? Anyway, I'm having issues with this damn site. But anyway, kind of local sports in the building. Salute to you. I would not be surprised if Povetkin beat him again. Dillian has a lot of pressure on him. But Trick put it this way. Dillian White has understood that in order for him to be a premier heavyweight player in the sport of boxing, he had to step up, right? You always heard the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua names, right? But also you heard the Dillian Whites. I'm talking about the top 5. You heard the Dillian White names in there. So Dillian White has had ample amount of time to sustain his position as a top 5 name in the heavyweight division. Now, with all the craziness that ensued, at one point in time when he was trying to deflect interest on Deontay Wilder to Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn said, hey, Dillian White, go out here and call out Deontay Wilder and all this other shit. He had plenty of time. Yeah, he didn't get the shot that he was looking for and all this other. Who knows if he would have been able to go in there and perform the way he did against Deontay Wilder. But now you're in a position to face Alexander Povetkin, who has a common opponent, Anthony Joshua. Both of the guys, Alexander Povetkin and Dillian Whyte, was knocked out by Anthony Joshua. More so, Dillian Whyte was knocked out in shorter fashion than Alexander Povetkin. But the point remains, that particular fight with Alexander Povetkin was very, very important, people. It was extremely important for Dillian Whyte. He went in there and basically blew it. He squandered one of the biggest moments of his career. You're earning a pair of knockdowns, which obviously gave you that space you needed on the scorecards. And who's to say the fight would have went the entire distance? But then, like I said before, he ends up getting knocked out. He even had the mentality to try to return early. I'm talking about it was 3 months. And then, it comes down to Alexander Povetkin catching COVID. And then they rescheduled the fight, and another, something else happened with COVID. And I'm saying good, because Dillian Whyte is not in his right mind. Now they're using this dude, this General Bob. Anybody who has some type of combat experience knows who General Bob is. You never want someone to consider you as General Bob. That is that half structure that you can purchase, that you can punch in your gym or your fitness place or wherever it's at, and you can punch him the shit. It's just a punching dummy or whatever. That's what General Bob is. But for Dillian Whyte to attempt to return 3 months after being knocked out by Alexander Povetkin, it was ill-advised. Somebody over there is not in Dillian Whyte's best interest. I'm just going to be honest. It's not in Dillian Whyte's best interest. Trick said, I have to go. Just wanted to stop by and show some love, peace, and respect to you, WCS, in the chat. Hey, peace and love to you too there, Trick. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Have a good one. Kano say Jacobs ain't athletic, though. Well, a lot of people, when it comes to fights in general, they're not going to say that, oh, you fight a black fighter, you're going to go in here and get the most athletic boxer. Some fighters in general, whether it be black, Latino, European, they're athletic in their own right. So Jacobs not being athletic, you have to look at Jacobs' record, though. You have to look. He is the one who stopped Gennady Golovkin's 23-fight win streak. So he was athletic to come off the canvas and make it to the distance and shut down Gennady. Gennady's career haven't been the same since Daniel Jacobs. Real talk. Athletic or not, his career, Gennady Golovkin, haven't been the same since he stepped in there with Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying? Who else are we saying, is Crawford saying that Canelo doesn't fight black fighters in general? Or is Crawford insinuating that Canelo has shied away from black athletic fighters? Now, if it's black athletic fighters, that's opinionated, because the sweet science is what it is. It don't matter what shade you are. The sweet science is what it is. So who has he shied away from? Are they talking about Jamal Charlo? Or they find Jamal Charlo athletic? Okay, I get it. What other? Demetrius Andrade? I mean, it's hardly any brothers up there at super middleweight. It's hardly any brothers up there now at 175 light heavyweight. So I don't know about the athletic part there, Colonel. It's just not a full class of names that I can go off of. Look at Daniel Jacobs' record, and it's respectable. You know what I'm saying? Daniel Jacobs has a respectable record. Now, is he one of my favorite boxers? Not at all. Not at all. I'll be honest with you. Not at all, bro. He is not. D-Ray said, Bud, let it be known Canelo too big for him. That's one out the way. But let it be known Canelo too big for him. Hey man, anybody in their right mind understands that if Terrence Crawford was to even attempt to fight Canelo at 160, he would be outgunned, outsized, and potentially outperformed. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, I don't know when it comes to the black shy away from black fighters like that, the way Crawford is talking about. Like, who specific are you talking about? So let me read a snippet of this article. Crawford 37-0, 28 knockouts, states that Canelo 55-1-2, 37 knockouts, has had the most problems during his career when fighting black fighters. There's no question that Floyd Mayweather, okay, so you mentioned the past, Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, I get it. Both schooled Canelo in 2013 and 2014. So we're talking about 2013, 2014, which is several years ago. I get where people's coming from. A lot has changed from Canelo's career when he faced Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara. Obviously, he's improved since then. Canelo lost to Mayweather by 12-round majority and then beat Lara by a highly questionable decision, despite landing almost nothing. But Canelo sure did have problems with Lara, Mayweather, and Austin Trout. He shied away from Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade for a long time. When you look at Canelo's career, it's like he shied away from the black fighters. I think the black fighters give him the most problems, said Crawford to AK and Barack show on DAZN. Now, we're putting this piece together. I understand where Crawford's coming from, and he's right. He's right in a sense when you look at the Floyd Mayweathers and the Erislandy Lara. He's right. He did have problems with them, absolutely. But that was several years ago. Now, seeing what Canelo's been able to do when he's moved on past 160, I haven't really seen a plethora of black fighters in his resume. But also, I look at it like this: what black fighters outside Jamal Charlo? I mean, what black fighters are we talking about? Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade. Look, like I said before, the Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, they're both in the same division. So therefore, him shying away from two fighters that happen to be in a division in which he has been absent. He has been tardy from this division. How can we sit up here and say, well, you take two fighters in the same division and he's shying away from black fighters? I would pretty much sum this up if it was multiple divisions, and when he was moving up 54, 60, 68, 75, you had black fighters in those top tier positions that Canelo could have fought, but he didn't. You know what I'm saying? I partially understand where Terrence Crawford is going with this, but then you have to understand this also. Boxing will always be a business. And right now, Canelo is on his business shit, just like Floyd was on his business shit. Floyd selectively chose certain fighters to step in the ring that was going to make him money. On the rise, do you believe Canelo would have stepped in there with the Demetrius Andrade to sell tickets? Could he have at 160? Yeah, he could have. He could have. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was thinking this Canelo and Triple G rivalry is going to go all the way up into a third fight. The first one set the tone for the second one. You had a draw on the first one, and it set the tone for the rematch with Canelo winning there and won and performed damn good, right? So you're talking about black fighters. We're talking about two fighters in the same division, a division which Canelo jettisoned as being important and moved on to visit other divisions, fighting champions. I don't know what to tell you, man. It goes on to say, wow, Crawford is really unleashing his dogs of war on Canelo for some reason. I wonder what Canelo did to get Crawford going after him today. Only Canelo knows why he hasn't fought the unbeaten Jamar Charlo, 31-0, 22 knockouts, and Demetrius Andrade, 29-0, 18 knockouts. I think Canelo should have fought those guys a long time ago. I agree. I definitely agree. Canelo should have fought Jamar Charlo. But balancing the scales, right, within my integrity, I have to say Canelo fighting Jamar Charlo, it didn't happen for that whatever reason. Was Jamar Charlo ready for Canelo? I'm not going to say he wasn't, but I'm saying, was Jamar Charlo ready if Canelo would have called him out? Because boxing is a business, right? So the benefit of him fighting Jamar Charlo, it all depends on what he was trying to gain from it. Did he have intentions on trying to unify the entire 160-pound division or not? I know he has that commitment now at super middleweight, but he really didn't show that contentment down there at 160. I'm not saying picking up 2 damn titles. I'm not talking about that. Did he have intent in being undisputed? Because, you know, at that point in time, his weight was probably an issue. He probably felt a little bit uncomfortable at 160. You know what I'm saying? After those Gennady Golovkin fight. Who knows? I'm not making excuses for him. The fans worldwide would much prefer to see Canelo fight Jamal and Demetrius Andrade than him fighting Saunders, Yildirim, and Plant. I agree with that, per the article. The fact that Canelo has chosen not to fight Jamar Charlo and Andrade does not mean he's avoiding them because they're black, or is it because they're too good? That's the magic question. To be sure, we can speculate as to why Canelo opted not to fight Charlo and Andrade, but we'll never know for certain. Obviously, though, Canelo has decided to go in the path of least resistance by taking on Saunders and Plant, both of which are viewed by some as paper champions at 168. Damn, they call my man Caleb Plant a paper champ. Shit. There's no excuses at all whatsoever for Canelo choosing to fight Yildirim last February, as he didn't have to take that fight. As the WBC franchise champion, Canelo could have told Yildirim to kick rocks. Canelo could have bypassed that fight with his franchise, and that's what the World Boxing Council President Mauricio Suleiman said. Man, come on, man. Why does he need to bypass Yildirim and insert his franchise status on a boxer like Yildirim? That was an easy freaking check for him. Why is he going to exclude Yildirim from picking up another notch on his record, picking up his 55th professional win? Man, shit. He went in there and had an easy motherfucking night at the pool hall. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, bro. Big Dog say Bud is right. I agree with him when he's talking about, if he's talking about Demetrius Andrade and Jamar Charlo. They're in the same division. You know what I'm saying? Alexander in the building, salute to you. Saying Canelo doesn't fight black fighters has no merit. He fought Floyd, Lard, Trout, Jacobs, and a washed-up Kirkland. What black fighters are at 168? Well, see, it's not the fact to add Kirkland in there. It's just black fighters. He's talking about competitive black fighters. You know, when you mention the names Eris Landy, Laura, Floyd Mayweather, and Austin Trout, they're competitive black fighters. All right. James Kirkland is not in that equation, nor does he fit the lineup to be compared in the same sentence as a Laura Trout, Jacobs, and especially not Floyd Mayweather. So, once again, Jacobs has been in big fights, but he sometimes reminds me of a Danny Garcia. You know, he's in the big fights, but he does enough to come in second. Ahmad said, Bud needs to be patient. Stop calling fight Sean Porter due to Porter what Errol couldn't do, and that's put Sean on the canvas and keep him there. Okay. On the last part of that, Ahmad, I understand and agree with you on that. Do something that Errol Spence wasn't able to do, and that is put him on the canvas and keep him there. Language. Put him on the canvas, because we all know that Sean Porter's been on the canvas before. All right. Adrian Broner dropped him in the 12th. Errol Spence dropped him in the 11th. And, you know, what people somehow, some way think would bring this welterweight fight even closer is that Terrence Crawford put him on the canvas and keep him there, like Ahmad just said. I agree. He has to do something that hasn't been done to Sean Porter. Will it bring the welterweight division any closer to seeing Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford? I don't fucking know, dog. I'm puzzled. I don't fucking know. Big Dog said Bud is right. There's only 2 fights Canelo stepped to the side against. There's only 2 fighters Canelo stepped to the side against. Floyd Motto's right fighter, right fight. Right fighter, right price. You know, Floyd Mayweather fought his share of black fighters and his share of Mexican fighters. He did. And the other ethnicities. You know what I'm saying? He gave the Argentinian OG, Marcus Maidana, he gave him 2 for 1. You know what I'm saying? He gave him 2 for 1, man. What has Charlo done in their careers instead of chasing Canelo? Why not build their own legacy? They wasn't chasing Canelo. You know, you have to understand that, Troy, the Charlo brothers was champions in the same division before Jamal Charlo moved up to the middleweight division. I wouldn't say that they've been chasing Canelo Alvarez, but not to recently. It's a time where Charlo was insinuating when he was a part of 160 that yeah, he would like to step in there with Canelo Alvarez. But as far as chasing them, I don't consider it chasing. You know, if Canelo's the cash cow, you know what I'm saying, he's the bigger name, and you know you're gonna make a nice paycheck, and also to have Canelo on your resume, why not call him out? Why not call him out? Canelo's a big name in a division that you're campaigning in. Call his ass out. Why not? I don't fault Jamal Charlo for doing that shit. Call his ass out. It's just the hiatus that went on once Canelo started to elevate and go to 168 and show the middleweight division no attention. It's just like the hiatus that I didn't hear Jamal Charlo say too much to Canelo. Like I'm saying to myself, like, this would be the good time for you to start making some noise, man. Be vocal. Try to get that Canelo fight, especially after him fighting Rocky Fielding. But Canelo, he was still WBA champion then. You know, he was still WBA champion. Then, you know, he made the commitment to say, fuck it. I'm getting off this title, man. He's a WBA champion still at 60. He did not even entertain Jamal Charlo or Demetrius Andrade. He had already fought Gennady Golovkin, who we know damn well lost to Sergey Dariunchenko. But they gifted the man a motherfucking win in hope to keep him relevant on the pound-for-pound list and keep him relevant in the middleweight division. He's sitting over there with the IBF title, and it means very minimal. So if by chance Jamal Charlo fights Gennady Golovkin and do what Ahmad said, do what somebody hasn't been able to do to Sean Porter. If Jamal Charlo is able to go over there and sit Gennady Golovkin down in dominating fashion, then Canelo might say, oh, okay. Because I've been telling people Canelo can speak English. I've been telling people he can speak English, but they just didn't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? Canelo say, oh, all right, I see, you know. You know, he might give a little while he's riding his horse and shit. He might be on his phone. He might get news. Hey, Charlo, he went in there and knocked out Gennady Golovkin. That's something that Canelo couldn't do. So right now, we have fighters that's in positions to make a big name for themselves. But guess what? If you're going to fight a common opponent of a high-ranking boxer, you need to somehow you need to make you need to put them on notice. You need to do something different, and that's what Terrence Crawford needs to do when he fight Errol Spence. He need to seal that motherfucking envelope and leave no doubt that he's the man. You know what I'm saying? Leave no doubt. Period. Jamal Charlo, he need to leave no doubt and go ahead and smash Gennady Golovkin. If by chance, as much as I don't like talking about, if by chance Terrence Crawford fights Sean Porter, I don't even know if it guarantees him a fight with Errol Spence. But if he sits down Errol Spence and he sits down Sean Porter, it'll prove that he is the best at the welterweight division. If he's able to go up here and clean house and go 2-0 with Sean Porter and Errol Spence Jr., if the fight were is to happen, hey, you're not gonna be able to tell that man anything. We're not gonna listen to the resumes at welterweight. We're not gonna listen to anything. It's gonna be exactly how it is. If you do something different with a top tier opponent, it means the most. If you do something to a common opponent and they only fought a mid-level tier boxer, it's not gonna mean that much. People are not gonna care. Wine tastes better when it's sit longer. Andrade and Charlo are like fine wine. The longer they sit, the sweeter the taste. Well, see, the one thing about that, Ahmad, is the fact that wine ages in a way that it's going to be consumed. You know what I'm saying? Being that wine is just a volume of liquid and not a physical entity that has to operate and has functionality every day. I understand what you're saying. I understand. Make no mistake about it. I salute you for that. But we cannot compare that analogy to Charlo and Andre, who is getting older in the sport of boxing. A glass of wine is not the one lacing up gloves and going in there and competing. A glass of wine sits in one place and ages. Effortless. It ages effortless. But in boxing, these guys have to go in there, go through fight camp, train, tear down their body, go through the rigors of training, and then step into the ring and compete and take punishment. Them sitting their ass around is basically getting them closer to retirement rather than fine wine. Fuck all that. Now, I can see if they was in 20s. I can see if they was down there with them young hitters and they was in their early 20s. And they say, okay, we have plenty of time for this fight to mature and materialize into something special. I get it. But that is not the case with these guys. It's not the case, man. She was good. He said, we here salute, man. Sometimes I wonder if it's selective when everyone wants to fight you for a payday. Troy Graham said, then why hasn't Charlo moved to 168, get a belt, and make a fight with Canelo? It's not that easy. Boxing is a business first. So Charlo moving up to 168, and just because you can type that in there doesn't mean it's going to be as simple as him moving to 68 and get a fight with the cash cow right now. Canelo Alvarez is the one who's making the moves and also making the decision to fight who he chooses to fight. It's not going to be as easy as Jamal Charlo, who lacked the credentials of Canelo Alvarez, first of all, for him to just basically abandon the middleweight division without even unifying it. Without even unifying the division, you have to face some big names. If you have Murata, Golovkin, and Andrade in the middleweight division, and you decide to resign and move up to 168 without even attaching one of those names to your resume, why should Canelo pay you any mind? Why should he pay you any mind at 68? That's why he sees 68 as a soft target. He sees 68 as a soft target, bro. He sees Billy Joe Sanders as a soft target. He sees Caleb Plant as a soft target, man. He may not see 160 as a soft target like that. I'm being honest with you. He may not see the middleweight division as a soft target. One, dealing with his weight, and two, the competition is down there. Murata, Golovkin, and Andrade. So therefore, when it comes down to, you making it seem like it's easy for Charlo to move up. He hasn't really did anything. He just fought Sergey Derevyanchenko. He went the distance, even though he did touch him up real nice, made him wear the fight. What else is next? Because he's not going to get too much credit off of Derevyanchenko, who had 2 opportunities to fight for the IBF, the vacant IBF. All right. And then he couldn't get it done. He goes over here and they put him in the WBC, and he fights in the WBC, and he loses to Jamal Charlo. So for Jamal Charlo, he gets a Derevyanchenko on his record. Okay. But he needs an Andrade. He needs a Golovkin. He needs Murata. He needs something. He's not going to just move up the super middleweight division and get a shot at the man. It don't work like that, Troy. Come on, man. Come on, Troy, man. You know better than that, bro. You're just typing, bro. Stop just typing like that. Don't just type like that, bro. Mike McCallum did it. Look, bro, we're not talking about Mike McCallum. Look, one thing we understand, Troy, is the fact that the eras of boxing has transitioned. It's been a changeover. You know how you go to a new job and you have to do a turnover with the active current member that's in the position, and then they have to do a changeover with you because you are the incoming. So you have to do a changeover. How you run that position is going to be different with that active individual. Why? Because that's just the way it is. You're going to do things different. Boxing is different than what it was when Mike McCallum, James Toney, Roy and all them guys did it. Michael Nunn, all them cats. It's just different. Michael McCallum then chanced the 4 Kings once they all avoided him. He fought and built his legacy. McCallum is a legend and a Hall of Fame fighter, not a fighter chasing another fighter money. I agree. And shout out to Mike McCallum, tough fighter, taking nothing away from him. But the scope and the whole vibe of boxing and the way they go about doing business has absolutely changed. It's changed, man. The revisions of how boxing operates right now is incredible. Incredibly different than what it was when them guys was doing what they was doing. The mindset is different. Seriously, I'm just saying. Ahmad Charlo needs to break bread with Andrade. Drop him, put him on the canvas, keep him there. Plant Benavidez, Canelo, now looking like, damn, are we next? Well, I would think he would get more credit for putting Gennady Golovkin on the canvas rather than Andrade, in my opinion. The reason I'm saying that is that everybody look at Gennady Golovkin as this guy who has one of the best chins in boxing. If Jamal Charlo is able to go in there and stop him, I mean, he's a big name. He's been in there with Canelo twice. So they're gonna show him mad love, bro. They're gonna say, okay, this guy is the truth right now. Did y'all see what Charlo did to Gennady? I mean, that's what's gonna. But if he do it to Demetrius Andrade, they're gonna say, well, Demetrius Andrade finally stepped up his competition, and Charlo was just too much for him. That's what they're gonna say. But when you look at Triple G, though, he's been in there with the top tier opposition. So they're going to give him more credit for stopping Triple G than they would Andrade. Just my OP. Charlo need to the Spence versus Crawford fight is a dead as Bova versus Lewis. That fight will never happen. As much as I really don't have the energy to revisit, listen to Crawford say it'll never happen. Let's just say 4 or 5 years will we want to see it? No. We really don't want to see them fight on Triller 10 years from now. If Triller is still in the game, you know what I'm saying? We really don't want to see this shit. So I'll leave that alone. I'll leave that shit. I would dead that. because I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I bet that shit. I don't want to talk about it either. Okay, but Charlo is with the PVC. Let's see what we switching lanes. Okay, cool. If the competition is so, hold up. Okay, cool. If the competition is so good at 160, why doesn't he get Heyman to make the big fights for him? Only you have to ask them. From what I'm hearing, he's trying to make the fight with Triple G. That's what I'm hearing. And the competition is much more solid for the interest of Jamal Charlo to kind of, build up, that those credentials and that he did something. You know what I'm saying? He has to have some type of badges at the middleweight division, not just hold the WBC title. You know what I'm saying? You got to do more than that if you want to get the attention of Canelo Alvarez. He's going to start saying, like, okay, what have you done? Like, what names are on your resume? Do you and I have a common opponent, big dog? Shawty, talk to me. Have you fought somebody that I fought? Have you even fought Daniel Jacobs? Even though Jacobs at 68. Do you have a common opponent that us as the fans can say, okay, he fought this guy and he did okay. Okay, move up to 168, fight Jacobs or Benavidez, then get a title shot and win a belt, then fight Canelo. I'm sick of hearing what cannot be done. Focus on what it takes to get done. Well, I put it this way. When it comes to boxing, if you're sick now, you're going to be very ill later. Because boxing, as fans, we can look at boxing however we choose. But that doesn't mean we can move the needle. We can't move the needle on boxing like that. We're just from the outside the window looking in. And we pass by, we can look and say, oh man, that's interesting. We can talk about it. We can have sidebar conversations. That don't mean our word is going to influence whoever's making the fight. It's not like that. It's not like that. But of course we can say this. Of course we can say what can't be done right now. That's been in boxing forever and a day. We see it at several divisions, what can't be done. We've seen it in the heavyweight division. We've seen it at the super middleweight division. We've seen it at the middleweight division. We definitely seeing it at the welterweight division. We definitely seeing it at the welterweight division. The good thing about it is every division isn't the same. All right. We don't have big names in every division. We have 17 divisions in boxing, right? We don't have top tier names of popularity in every division. So when we get to these middle, the core of these divisions, when you go from 130 to, I would say, 154 or 160, it gets a little crazy because depending on who the name we're talking about, on how fast the fight will be made. Big names just don't fight big names. It's that simple. It's just not, that's just not the way it works, Troy, and everybody else. It's been like that for years. Come on now. And once again, Mar Charlo moving up to 68. What's guaranteed that he's going to fight Jacobs? Even though I would like to see that fight, I definitely would like to see Daniel Jacobs fight Jamal Charlo. But no one's even mentioning Jacobs' name. I'm moving up to 68. No one. You know who they're mentioning? Benavidez. I want to see Mar Charlo and Benavidez. I want to see that shit. I think it's a damn good fight. But I'm hearing kickback from Mar Charlo. He's putting up resistance and not willing to say, okay, I step up and fight him. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't want to add him to the Duck Masters Coalition because they're in different weight classes. You know what I'm saying? Check this out. I don't want to put Jamal Charlo in the Duck Masters Coalition because he's at 60 and the other names you're talking about, Benavidez and shit, is at 68, right? But then people complain about Canelo Alvarez moving up to 68 to fight Rocky Fielding, who had a WBA regular title. I mean, If you're going to commit to it, pick a name at 68, get your feet wet, a tune-up, take that fight, and then try to edge closer to the name that you want. Because either way it goes, Benavidez is going to be bigger than Charlo. Benavidez is a bigger fighter anyway. He has problems. You know, he came in 3 pounds over and lost his title. The other time, he fucked up with damn drug use, right? But he's going to be the bigger fighter between him and Jamal Charlo. Charlo knows that shit. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, he's going to have problems. Either way it goes, Charlo's going to have to tap his chest and say, let's go. Lines only. Lines only, let's go. If he ain't saying that shit, then fight somebody in your division. Because I would say this, them cats back in the day, it's safe for Sugar Ray Leonard, all right, when he moved up at a catch weight at 168 and fought a light heavyweight, Donnie Lennon. I mean, he didn't have to take that fight, but both titles was on the line. Lennon's title and Sugar Ray Leonard's was on the line. They met at a catch weight, but still he was fighting a bigger fighter. Some of these fighters this day and time, man, in a group, they're not making decisions like that. They're not willing to move up and challenge themselves like that at a higher division. The only one that's really doing it right now, and people still complain about it, is Canelo Alvarez. That's real talk. Y'all complain about him facing Rocky Fielding. Then you complain about him fighting Sergey Kovalev. You complain about him fighting Callum Smith. But it's the fact that he's moving up divisions. Greatness isn't built on excuses. It's built on having a solid plan and finding a way to get it done. Hagler and Hopkins are perfect examples. Once again, I will page it this way. That once again, the bookmark, there's a bookmark that separates that particular era from the new era. It's a bookmark. It will always be a bookmark. The times in life has changed since that era and this era. So we can only sit up here and create analogies and voice our opinion on the old school versus the new school. It's always going to be like that. Fighters are in a whole different type of environment with social media and the business of boxing the way it's ran. It's different. It's much more money per se that can be made in certain fights than it was back then. I'm not saying fighters didn't make money, but back then, in order to make money, you had to take tougher fights. This stage of the game, in my opinion, you can make pretty decent money fighting mid-level tier fighters than what you had to do back then. I don't think so, because Triple G is washed up and on the way out at 37. Andre better. Well, think of it this way there, Ahmad. A lot of people don't think that Triple G is truly washed up. You know what I'm saying? Because he only has one loss to Canelo Alvarez. So you can look at, if you're going to say Triple G is washed up, then what is Manny Pacquiao? Manny Pacquiao is celebrated. You know what I'm saying? He's 62-7. He's celebrated with 7 losses on his record. 8 division champion. But Gennady Golovkin, who's younger than Manny Pacquiao, is so-called washed up. No, he's not washed up enough to the point where Charlo won't get credit for him. Charlo still get credit if he go in there and get a win on Gennady. Yes, sir. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. The only thing that has changed in boxing is the constant excuses and the soap opera back and forth, talking and no fights getting made. So why not focus on the legacy of 160 instead of focusing? So basically, the why is the fact that you should be asking these questions in Charlo's DM. Because if I have no no connection, no solid communication with these fighters. The why is going to be left open-ended because I can't answer it. I can only give you my op on that shit. What a fighter is trying to maneuver and pilot in his career is going to be different than what my opinion is. Why? Because I don't know. I'm not talking, hey, Charlo, hey, what's good? Is there any way we can talk about what's your next plans? Like, if you really speak to these boxers, even the ones that communicate with me on a regular, they still don't let the cat out the bag and say, hey, this is what I got planned. Some do, just very small, but a lot of them don't. They say, oh, I got fight news coming up. I got fight news coming up, fight news coming up. It's the same thing. So I really can't tell you what Charlo is going to do. At the end of the day, our comments are only opinions. Fighters and promoters are going to do what they do. I agree. They're going to do what they do. We'll come back. Nowhere did I mention the fans. My comments are for the fighters, not the fans. I'm talking about you asking me why. Why is a generalization as if you want me to answer your question. I'm not at liberty to answer your question about a Charlo or a fighter. I can only give my opinion. You asking, I'm just telling you that if you're asking why a fighter isn't doing this, I don't have the answer. The only thing I'm doing is I'm from the outside, just like you and me and many others. I'm voicing my assessment on what I've seen. I'm assessing it, and now I'm going out here voicing my opinion on it. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I can just read articles. Unless I have one-to-one communication and they're keeping me abreast of what's going on with their career, I couldn't come on here and honestly speak on it as if I know what their next move is going to be. That's all I'm saying. The new era champions are scared to get that first loss. Yeah, some are afraid. They're timid. I wouldn't say they're scared, but they could be somewhat timid. Look, fighters, in a sense, should have reservations about picking up their first loss, because depending on what division you're in and who you lose to and how you lost to them, it's going to mean something. Now, like I say all the time, it depends on the fighter who took the L. Can they recover? Some fighters take an L like Canelo. They haven't looked back on that. Canelo lost to Floyd Mayweather. Shit. Nobody look at it. Every now and then they'll mention it, but Canelo has just skyrocketed to the top since then. He's skyrocketed. It's done. You know what I'm saying? Gennady Golovkin, for instance. His one loss is against Canelo Alvarez. Boom, ain't nobody talking about it. He lost to Canelo. Okay. Not too many people talking about it. Jermell Charlo, he lost to Tony Harrison. It was a good fight, but yet he came back and avenged it. No one's really talking about the loss that Jermell Charlo has against Tony Harrison. He avenged the loss via KO. So I would say this, Ahmad. Fighters just need to have a bit more courage to commit to that decision, to take that risk and train their ass off and go in there and fight to get that victory. You know what I'm saying? Don't think. Sometimes what they say, you think long, you think wrong. I mean, sometimes if you hold something and you just procrastinate and contemplate too much, you're like, oh, should I do it? Should I do it? You end up immersing yourself in a sense of doubt. You don't even know what you want to do. You're like, oh man, fuck it. I ain't dealing with the shit. That ain't a good move for me. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Bro, stop trolling. Stop trolling. I'm not gonna tell you where you at. I'm not. Look, if you want me to read your comments, stop trolling. Don't put a label on me as far as excuses. You know what I'm saying? I'm not making excuses for anybody. How can I make excuses for someone and I'm just giving you a general opinionated based response to your input? It's not an excuse. How can I make an excuse for something that goes on in boxing all the time? Boxing is a business first. So a lot of these fights aren't going to happen due to situations unforeseen from the outside looking in. You have to be inside behind closed doors to know what's going on with these. You can't sit up here and say it's my excuse I'm making. Me, you, and everybody else that's in here on YouTube, we don't determine who these fighters that we speak about all the time, how they're going to make their next move, or what their next move is going to be. What's their 3-fight plan? We don't know it. We don't know it until something like Canelo Alvarez come out and said, Canelo said, guess what? I'm fighting Abner Yildirim. After that, I'm fighting Billy Joe Saunders. It's already signed. So we already know it's going to be the same situation that he had against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Before he stepped in there. Him and Gennady Golovkin was already signed. So that's how we can know. Boom, we already know this is happening and this is going to happen afterwards. We already know Abner Yildirim is signed, and we already know Billy Joe Saunders is going to happen in May. And after that, he planned on fighting Caleb Plant in September. That's the only way that you can get me to consistently break down and say, this is who Canelo is going to fight in this order. That's it, bro. It doesn't matter who it was against. He's still 42 years old. He's still 42 years old. I was going off of Ma's previous comment, and when he was basically saying Gennady was washed up. And I'm saying Gennady Golovkin is younger than Manny Pacquiao. So he has less losses. Manny Pacquiao has 6 more losses than Gennady Golovkin. And he is much older than Gennady Golovkin. So therefore, it makes real sense to believe that Manny Pacquiao, as long as he's been in the sport with 8 divisions to his credit, is much more of a treaded fighter than Gennady Golovkin. Manny Pacquiao has tread on the motherfucking boxing tires, dog. Serious. He's been around the sport for quite some time. So of course, it doesn't matter he freaking went in there against Keith Thurman. We're talking about a fight for Jermall Charlo to get credit for in order to pique the interest for Canelo Alvarez. So since Gennady Golovkin is that guy, I think he still has some Wall Street, some stock to his brand to go ahead and fight Marcharlo. Marcharlo does well. It may indeed pique the interest with him abandoning the middleweight division with a Gennady on his record and moving up to 168. It's my opinion. Study long, study wrong. Absolutely. I say, Troy, calm yourself, my brother. These are only opinions. Don't tell this. Don't tell these conversations to heart. Don't take it to heart. Maintain your flow and be cool. No need to be argumentative. That's all I'm saying, Ahmad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't troll. Why? You seem like you're trolling. You're saying I'm making excuses when I feel I'm articulating as much as I can for people to understand and knowing that it's just my opinion. That is what media does. Media is an opinion-based segue for individuals to tune into. That's all. That's all. Even ESPN and all them cats up there, a lot of what they give is opinions on fights. Just like the Lomachenko fight heading into fight Teofimo Lopez. It was all opinion-based, and they was wrong. That was wrong. So when people want to get on here and talk about you're wrong, opinions are supposed to be right and wrong. There's a certain percentage of what opinion you would say that's right, and a certain percentage that you're going to be absolutely wrong. Everybody was saying what Lomachenko was going to do. He was a much better boxer, this, that, and the other. And he went in there and lost. They was wrong. Miguel Berchelt. Oh, man, Oscar Valdez, he can't handle that power from Miguel Berchelt. It's going to be too much. What happened? Oscar Valdez slept him, knocked him out. They were wrong, man. I was right. I went for Oscar Valdez. I went for motherfucking Teofimo Lopez. In that order, I feel good. In that order, I feel good. I even said that Virgil Ortiz will possibly stop Maurice Hooker in the 6th round. I was one round off. And I said this on somebody else's panel. And I may have mentioned on my own, but I don't look, I'm not on here to be right all the fucking time. This is a media-based segue for you to listen in if you choose to. That's it. It's that time of the month for Troy. Michael Lewis, Troy, you might you all right over there, good buddy? You feeling okay? You talking crazy. I know, bro. Like, man, that's all I'm saying now, Mike. Like, what's going on with this guy, man? Like, come on, man. What's going on, bro? Troy the Troll, I'm just fucking with you. Fella, don't get yourself worked up. Troy, if you want to cry so bad, just start a channel and cry on your own. Hey, Jay, I couldn't say it any better, man. They think it's easy running a channel and shit and getting content and being able to speak on it. You know what I'm saying? And WCS, man, I just don't read articles on boxing, man. I read articles on MMA too. You'll never hear me say, "Oh, well, I'm the best. I'm the number one media outlet up here." I ain't got time for all that shit. For real, I don't have time for it. There's no number one nothing out here on YouTube. It's no number one anybody. Everybody talk they talk and they get their viewers. It's nobody that's number one. It may be more channels that's popular than the others, but no one is number one at this media segue shit. You just talk your shit, your viewers listen, and that's how it is. Moving on. So that that was a big topic right there. Jamal Charlo need to figure out what he's trying to do or what he's choosing to do in moving forward. Period. Figure it out. One of the best things I heard is Terrence Crawford on Errol Spence. I don't care anymore. I like that shit. That's what I'm talking about. Release yourself from responsibility. Let them know point blank, period. There's no Doug Masters coalition for Terrence Crawford. Terrence never said he needed to unify the welterweight division to cement his legacy. He never said that. It was Errol Spence. But to hear Terrence Crawford say, I don't care anymore, I appreciate that. Salute, dog. I appreciate him releasing himself from any obligations. Fuck it. I don't care anymore about that fight. I'm moving on. If by chance Terrence Crawford want to move up to 54, he's undefeated. He's in control of making his decision. What he does with his contract, right? Moving forward, we'll see. But his contract with Top Rank is set to expire right in October. So whatever he chooses to do. Whatever he chooses to do, man. But the fact that he said, I don't care anymore, I like it. I like it, big dog. Appreciate you. Because I'm tired of, entertaining that circus shit too. We're tired of it. Don't forget Jerome Ennis is stepping in there against Sergey Lipinets. Boots. A lot of people mention Boots' name and consider him a rising young hitter in the sport. They do. He does have a lot to prove, though. I'm not going to lie to you. Jerome Ennis has a lot to prove. Will he be able to dictate the pace in this fight with Sergey Lipinets? That's the bigger question. Will he be able to do that? So Jerome Ennis is 26-0, 24 knockouts. His first professional fight was back in 2016. So he's going on little over 4 years. You know what I'm saying? He's been over 4 years. He's about to go in his 5th year. So he's about to step in there with Sergey Lipinets next month. He defeated Chris Van Heerden. You know, the headbutt. I take that back. A headbutt stopped the fight. No decision in the first round. He has a TKO win over Juan Carlos Abreu. You know, no big names on this record as of yet. Sergey Lipinets will be the biggest name on his resume thus far. You know, Sergey is 16-1-1. And he's a very tough fighter. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sergey Lipinets is a tough fighter from Russia. He's had a couple of fights at welterweight. You know, his last fight coming off a draw from Castillo Clayton. Then before that, he fought J.R. Ensign. Stopped him in the 2nd round at welterweight. So this is a pretty even fight as far as names go. It's not extremely a big gap in between these guys, except Sergey Lipinets has been in boxing longer than Boots Ennis. His first professional fight was in 2014, Boots in 2016. So Sergey has a bit more experience being a former champion. And we all know he fought Mikey Garcia back in 2018. He lost that via unanimous decision, and that's the only loss on Sergey Lipinets' record. You know what I'm saying? To Boots Ennis' credit, he's still undefeated, but this will indeed be his biggest test to date. So keep your eyes open for Boots Ennis. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to seeing him step back in the square. I'm curious to see if Sergey will be able to pressure Boots Ennis, you know, a bit better than he did his last fight. We'll see, because Boots Ennis has fast hands. You know what I'm saying? He can box his ass off. I'm not gonna lie. We have Tony Harrison versus Bryant Perella, April 17th on PBC. So shout out to Tony Harrison returning back to the ring. The Turviev Denise fight, it drew an audience of 289,000 viewers. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. But yeah, that's some good shit coming up, you know what I'm saying, with Boots and Sergey. That's a fight that's very interesting to me. Amon say, why Errol not willing to break bread on an even playing field, 55-45? I don't know, man. That's a good question that a lot of people should ask Errol Spence. But once again, Errol Spence, he doesn't provide too much information when asked those questions. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know why Errol Spence is looking at this fight with Crawford and pretty much doing the same thing Joshua and Eddie Hearn was doing to Deontay Wilder. I don't know, man. I know I'm tired of listening to him talk. I'm tired of hearing him talk anything but provide him an equal playing field. For him to say if he's able to fight for the WBA title, I know who's not going to be. He basically put it out there. He knows who's not going to want to take the fight, so to speak. So what? You got 3 titles, bro. You're talking about to a 3-division champion, former undisputed, to you trying to unify one freaking division, and you're getting older each day. And who knows how much damage Errol Spence took at that car accident? We don't know. J.A. Arrow was breaking bread with Mikey Garcia. What the fuck did he do at 147? No belt, no name, no nothing. Now Bud comes in his excuses. Now, Jay, I absolutely agree with you on that. And see, that's what's a big turnoff to me when it comes to Errol Spence, just making it so hard for Terrence Crawford. I guess he provided Mikey Garcia, like this is the contradicting part of it. They'll sit up here and say Terrence Crawford haven't did shit at welterweight division. And just like J.A. said, he breaks bread with Mikey Garcia and doesn't even make it difficult. You know what I'm saying? But yet he want to feed Terrence Crawford under the table. He want to make him crawl up to the table and toss some straps down there to him and say, okay, eat that first. And then while you eating that, I'm going to sit up here and think about, you know, whether I'm going to fight you or not. And how much I want you to eat at the table. You know, how much I'm going to allow you to eat at the table with me on this fight. Was he giving Mikey Garcia, 4th division champion, a little bit more respect because he was a Mexican fighter? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He was born in the U.S. to me. You know what I'm saying? Mikey will tell you that. But it wasn't no shit like, hey, Mikey, you're going to get motherfucking 80-20, Mikey. It's bullshit, bro. You're absolutely right with that shit. He didn't do shit at welterweight. But you didn't hear them in the media talking about money all the fucking time. You didn't hear that shit. Because he a sucker. Plus, he know Bud will put him to bed early with no supper. Bud give him that glass of milk. He needs some milk. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I agree, Mike. I'm a Bud Crawford all the way if they ever fight. What the fuck have Danny Garcia done? Lost every step up the fight. True. But once again, people talk about Canelo Alvarez not fighting black fighters, but black fighters, they have the opportunity like Errol Spence does with Terrence Crawford and like he did with Sean Porter. He has the opportunity, but Errol Spence made it perfectly clear. He was going to take the easier route with Sean Porter, and he did it. So he picked up Sean Porter's belt. He took the easier route. So therefore, when it comes to Terrence Crawford, who he knows is going to be a tougher fight for him, he makes it extremely difficult. And what it does to the general public like myself and the fans, it deters us. It discourages us to the point we don't even want to talk about it. We don't even want to talk about this shit. And I agree with Mike. Mike says some sucker shit. I agree, some sucker ass shit that Errol Spence got going on, for real. Every time he opened his fucking mouth about Terrence Crawford, he got something stupid to say. Stay off them horses, goddammit. You don't need another self-inflicted injury on your boxing career where people can make excuses for you. Stay off them horses. WCS, are you planning on being in Vegas for Taylor Ramirez Undisputed? I'm trying, bro. You know, I like that fight. I like that fight. But to be honest with you, L-Dub, I don't know yet. I don't know. This shit is not cheap. Look, L-Dub. I don't know where to find Groupons at to go to these fights. I'm looking for a motherfucking stash of Groupons and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's why I need the support of the audience, man, the listeners. You know, support the channel, man. Donate to the channel, for real. I'm going to take Taylor for Undisputed. Ramirez, nothing special to me. A lot of people want Taylor to win because they feel Taylor, if indeed it happens, him facing Teofimo Lopez, they feel it'd be a better fight. Plus, Ramirez had made it perfectly clear that he planned on moving up the welterweight, right? So, yeah, I would like to see Taylor win that and whatever happens after that. I would like to see Taylor win it. Or if Ramirez win it, is he going to be willing to fight whoever? I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. That's just like I don't know what Charlo is going to do. Jermell Charlo, if he unifies, is he going to defend the belts before he move up to 60? Or he's going to vacate? Is Jermell Charlo willing to face a mandatory? I don't know. But good question, man. I mean, good comment. Come on, local sports, man. Appreciate the donation, my brother. Salute. Appreciate the donation, man. Y'all be sure to check out Come on Local Sports in the building. Mike said Ennis is deceptively fast. Yeah, he is deceptively fast, man. He got quicker hands than Sergey Lipinets. Sergey is going to give you that bruiser, brawling type of energy. You know, he did that to Mikey Garcia. I'm just mentioning Mikey Garcia because Mikey was coming up there for his 4th division. You know what I'm saying? It was a title fight. It was a fight where if you compare what Lipinets was able to do, forcing Mikey Garcia to box off the back foot and putting that pressure on him, vice what Robert Easter wasn't able to do, fighting Mikey Garcia at lightweight. Robert Easter wasn't able to push Mikey Garcia back like that. But, you know, Sergey was. And then we all saw what Errol Spence wasn't able to do and what he was successful. You know what I mean? You know, Mikey Garcia walked out that fight with Errol Spence, which it should have been a tougher fight, so to speak, than his fight with Sergey Lipinets. I don't know, but Mikey Garcia walked out that Errol Spence fight ready to go to the club. L-Dub say, at Jay, who got in this undisputed Franchon Cruz DAZN versus Ellen Cederos? Shout out to Franchon Cruz DAZN, man. You know, shout out to Franchon. I'm glad she was able to get both titles back rather than that bullshit ass, you know, shit that Mauricio Suleiman was saying she's gonna have to fight for her title. Once again, I don't want to pull that card out, but that was some prejudice ass shit that he attempted. If Jimenez pop positive for umpteen amount of shit, why she's transitioning to me? You know what I'm saying? God damn it, you cheated. You was on some other shit, and she should have got both her titles back. The WBA say, fuck it. Hey, we're gonna give you your title back. Old girl pop dirty. But the WBC held off and was acting like she would have to fight to get her title back. More money and shit. Get the fuck out of here, man. Boots is a bad boy. Don't sleep on him. You'll be on the canvas looking up at the bright lights. A lot of people are waiting for Boots to make his name in the welterweight division for sure. You know, they believe he's gonna bring that popularity, that energy of popularity back to the welterweight division. If he's able to go in here and defeat Sergey Lipinets convincingly, then it sets him up for a bigger fight. The good thing about it is we don't know if the division is going to be unified or not, but it will set Jerome Ennis up to fight somebody. Somebody if he has a good showing with Sergey Lipinets. I like Boots, man. I like his style. I like what he has to offer when it comes to boxing. A lot of me saying it's Boots in his time. What he's been through, finally getting a little bit more freedom from being tied down with that contractual dispute with Victory Boxing Promotions, with Chris Menendorf, you know what I'm saying? And now to part ways, and his manager's Cameron Duncan, you know, they're cleaning up the shit or whatever. It's good to see him getting bigger fights now. Elder, I'm gonna take Cruz. She's solid. Not too familiar with her opponent. Hey, that's a straight cut and dry answer. I'm telling you, Bud must have fucked EJ's old lady or beat up someone EJ knows real bad, and EJ is spooked by Bud. Seriously, man. I look at it like this, Mike. EJ must have been out in the pasture riding one of those horses of his, and I don't know. He looked up in a tree and saw Terrence Crawford looking directly at him. Terrence Crawford might have been up there eating an apple and shit. He said, "What the fuck? This nigga spying on me?" You know, it might have spooked him the fuck out. He out there relaxing and shit, you know, galloping on a motherfucking horse, and he have to look, and goddamn Terrence Crawford up in the tree eating the apple. So I'm like, yeah, I see you. I see you. He needs some milk. That was good. We need that. We need that getting to. I don't know what you said. We need that getting to tight. Salute L Dub Boxing. I'm ready for tomorrow. respect for what you said about Spence and Mikey Garcia. I'm not sure if you're talking about as far as the way Mikey Garcia looked. What you doing, bro? Mike said, "That Buzz black ass eating an apple on a tree branch." Hey man, I'm telling y'all, man, Bud is much more athletic. I know, the conversation was mentioned, about athleticism of black fighters. Bud is one of those athletic fighters. And once again, I'm saying this from seeing him do other things outside of boxing. Seriously, I seen Bud wrestling in the hallway. Real talk. See, if I would have pulled out my phone, they probably would have stopped. You know what I'm saying? I see Bud wrestling in the hallway on fight week. Like, look, you see how how you have certain fighters that's just all like they got an attitude, they're not in a good mood. You can see it on their face. I've seen Bud on several fight weeks, right? He ain't worried about shit. I seen him wrestling in the hallway on fight week. I seen him outside of a fight, okay? But I seen him out there running routes, playing football. He got some speed on him. He got some wheels. I ain't gonna lie. He got some wheels on him. He's more athletic than Errol Spence, I can tell you that much. He's more athletic than Errol Spence. And I believe Errol Spence totally understands that when it comes to the four corner square. I think he truly understands that. He truly understands who's more athletic in the opponents. He went in there and knocked out Sean Porter, got him out the way. He wasn't really thinking too much about Danny Garcia if he was getting something new. Simplify, here you stated one time you were a Marine. Yeah, one point in time, brother was in the camouflage, boots on the ground. But I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. But people, that's all I got, man. Appreciate y'all for pulling up for sure. We shall do this again and once more. Hold up. Let me check something out right quick before I get up out of here. Let me check something out right here. Speaking of Simplify, I have to give a man, Jamel Herring, his shout out, man. April 3rd, Jamel Herring is also defending his WBO, title at junior lightweight. And it's going to be in there against Carl Frampton. 12 rounds for Herring's WBO junior lightweight title. Well, we need to make note of that. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people not talking about it because they think Jamel Herring is at the end of his career. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. A little bit. I'm looking forward. It's okay. But I'm really looking forward to this fight card in Kissimmee, Florida. Seriously, it's a lot of good names on that card. April 24th, Emmanuel Navarrete versus Christopher Diaz. That's just going to be fire. That's just going to be fire. It's heavily packed with Hispanic fighters, though. But I'm telling you, that shit right there, Emmanuel Navarrete is a very unique boxer in itself. He do a lot of things wrong and make it seem right. He's tough. A lot of people know him from defeating Isaac Dogbay twice. He stopped him twice, and he's moved on since. But Christopher Diaz is going to be a tough opponent. We're going to see how everything plays out with this. But that card, April 24 in Florida, absolutely, that shit's going to be on point, man. That's going to be on point. That fight card is fire. Believe that. March 25th, San Juan, Puerto Rico, NBC Sports Network. Title fight, Amanda Serrano versus Daniela Bermudez, 10 rounds for Serrano's WBC, WBO featherweight titles. That's going to be the main event. And of course, we have the March 27th, the Zone, Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian White, the main event. Ted Cheeseman versus James Metcalf, 12 rounds for the vacant British junior middleweight title. Fabio Wardley back in the ring versus Eric Molina, 8 rounds, junior lightweights. And Campbell Hatton, you know, they still waiting on an opponent with him. I stay quiet in the chat, but I enjoy the topics and discussion. Peace, WCS. Yeah, I appreciate you, Andrew, all the time, man. Real talk. Salute. No, I don't have any more news on Davis indictment. I did know that this was pending before the news actually came out. I just didn't want to speak on it because you know how people get. People say, okay, why are you bringing up something? Look, for me, it's not all about being first on this shit. I'll talk on my channel. Like, I don't need to sit down here every day and be, you know, doing this shit over and over again. I do it because I love it. But if I'm able to go to the field and do this shit, then it's cool. You know, that's what I like doing. But we'll see what happens if he even serves a week. Let's talk MMA right quick, Scott. Steve or Francis, who you got? Okay, cool. I'll do that. Let me get some of this Everclear. Let me get some of this Everclear right here. So right off the rip, I'm favoring Stipe Miocic. He's the better mixed martial artist in general. I'm just being honest with you. I'm favoring Stipe Miocic. Unlike boxing, I really don't talk about the records in mixed martial arts because fighters can have multiple losses, and to the temporaries who only pass by and watch mixed martial arts, they don't understand that the mentality is different. Stipe Miocic is 20-3. Mixed martial artists, they're not going to have a huge volume of fights. The structure is different. You're not going to have a mixed martial artist come in here and have this grand amateur career and then switch over to mixed martial arts. So therefore, with Stipe Miocic, he is one of the best heavyweights ever in mixed martial arts. All right. He's 38 years old. And his last prominent wins, you know, in sport was Daniel Cormier. He fought him in 2019. I'm looking at right here in 2020. So him and Daniel Cormier, I always say this all the time, right? It was a point in time where Stipe was vying for respect in mixed martial arts. And, you know, he was getting these wins over these opponents, right? You look on his record. Let me share this right quick. Let me share this right quick with y'all. I have no problem talking some MMA. And though I try to stay away from blending this shit together, but since Mike asked, shit, let's talk about. So this is the record of Stipe Miocic right there, 20-3. And if you look right here, he's 38 years old, right? So this is where Stipe began to make a name for himself. You look at his name, Fabricio Verdum, right here. Fabricio Verdum, you know, former world champion, all right, in the heavyweight division. He was the first man actually to defeat Fedor Emelianenko via triangle choke, right? He started to make a name for himself. I know y'all see Mark Hunt and Andrew the Pitbull Orlovsky down there too. No. Look at the rounds in which Stipe was finishing his fights, y'all. Round 1, Mauricio Verdun, right? Punches. So I'm saying to myself, okay, he has a boxing background. Let's see. Boom, he goes up to Alistair Overeem, ground and pound, round 1, y'all. Round 1. He stops Alistair Overeem. Moving on, 2017. Junior Dos Santos, round 1, punches, y'all. So I'm saying to myself, dude got solid hands. So the big test came with Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou was this guy who they was comparing, who had more punching power than Mike Tyson. But I always said, you can have all the punching power in your possession, in your ownership. It's all about how you execute it, right? So he went in there against Francis Ngannou, who was this big, strong, African, and he had so many people saying he was going to go in there and knock out Stipe Miocic, who's a fireman in the community and still fighting at the highest level of the UFC. He went in there and defeated Francis Ngannou via decision. He pretty much used his boxing skills and defense to elude that power. Francis Ngannou he was throwing everything. He was sitting down. He was trying to take off Stipe Miocic's head. That's how inexperienced he was. He had the power, but he didn't have the cage IQ on how to set that shit up properly. And Stipe Miocic ended up earning a win. What's beautiful about the career of Stipe Miocic to take him to the next level is the fact that he ran into Daniel Cormier. Check this out. When DC and Stipe Miocic fought the first time, check this out. What does this say right here? Champion. Everybody thought that DC would have a pretty decent go with Stipe Miocic. Why? Because of DC's wrestling, right? They just thought he'd have a pretty decent go at Stipe Miocic because of DC having the caliber, foundation, pedigree of wrestling. But yet DC came into the game with his hands. DC would stand up and motherfucking box with your ass. Pudgy old DC. This rivalry that John Jones foiled at light heavyweight blossomed into something special when DC moved up to heavyweight. When DC stepped in here with Stipe Miocic and knocked him out in the first round, y'all. He knocked, look, DC knocked out Stipe Miocic out the clinch. Just a simple mistake out the clinch. Cat! DC knocked out Stipe Miocic with a right hook. Dropped him. Got on top. Boom, boom, boom. Landed several punches. Fight is over with. At that point in time, I was like, damn, man. Daniel Cormier knocked out Stipe like that. Like, what the fuck are we looking at, right? Then Stipe Miocic refuses. Don't look at this grappling bout right here. Because mixed martial artists, they have grappling bouts every now and then, which go on their record, but it really don't matter. All right, let's skip on to this right here. His rematch with Daniel Cormier right here. He returned from July 2018 to fight him in August of 2019. We all saw what happened. It was a hand-to-hand engagement between both of these fighters when Stipe decided to change it up and start digging to the body. I think at that point in time in that fight, Stipe Miocic said, you know what? I remember you making that motherfucking commercial, eating motherfucking chocolate ho-ho cakes and ding-dongs and having that Popeye's chicken waving around. So he said, I'm going to dig in that motherfucking bread basket of yours and I'm going to try to find out what you ate before the fight. So Stipe started digging with that left hook to the body. Look, he was goddamn digging in that motherfucker and he got a reaction. He got a reaction. He said, fuck everything. I knew you was soft around the midsection. Boom, he stuck him again. The tide turned. Daniel Cormier ended up being hurt. He pushed him up against the cage and finished him off with punches in round 4, which you're looking at. So from August 2019, they came back almost a full year later, y'all. A full year later. Stipe Miocic didn't even fight. DC didn't even fight nobody. Trilogy. A trilogy, y'all. And he wins the unanimous decision. But yet, Stipe hurts Daniel Cormier again. Who do you think that was in the shadows watching this whole thing play out? Francis Ngannou. Now, let's understand that Francis is in better shape than DC is. He's in better shape. But Francis Ngannou is not the fighter that DC is. Let's get that absolutely clear. Francis Ngannou has probably improved since he stepped in the ring with Stipe Miocic the first time. What did I tell you all when y'all tuned in and saw Francis Ngannou damn near decapitate Alistair Overeem? I said, that shit don't matter. Styles make fights. Alistair Overeem has been slept so many times. He stayed in close too long, and Francis took advantage of it and hit him with an uppercut. I'm one of the most highlight reel uppercut knockouts you'll see in UFC history, right? Francis Ngannou, let me bring him up. All right? Let me bring up Francis Ngannou. He's 15-3. Check this out. Check out his back-to-back losses. So after he lost to Stipe Miocic, right? He lost his unanimous decision. He goes in there with Derek Lewis. Like I said once again, I don't know who followed me at that time. Were you listening? But I actually covered this fight with him and Derek Lewis. He was scared. I mean, he was very timid. You know why, Steve? Look, you know why Francis Ngannou was scared of Derek Lewis? Because Derek Lewis is known to have some of the heaviest hands in that division in the UFC. So he know Derek Lewis has the one quitter hitters, just like they were saying Francis did. But Francis wasn't confident enough to stand in there with Derek Lewis. It was one of the most boring heavyweight fights in the UFC. Both fighters was very apprehensive. Look, this fight was one of the worst fights in the top 10 UFC history. Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. Dana White was just disgusted. This fight was damn near on the same level of Darren Till and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at the welterweight division. Real talk. Anyway, moving on. He kind of got some of his mojo back with fighting Curtis Blade, a wrestler. Curtis was just too inexperienced. He was just too experienced with his boxing. He just got knocked out, but Francis Ngannou exposed him and he closed him down in round 1. Stopped him. Moving on, Cain Velasquez. The one thing about Cain Velasquez, though, he's injury prone. Cain Velasquez has had issues outside of losing his title with his knees and stuff, and he's been injury prone. So it was this weird uppercut knockout that Francis Ngannou was able to get on Cain Velasquez, stop him in round 1. So you see the similarities, right? Stipe Miocic, going on his little tear, round 1 stoppages, and now you have Francis Ngannou recovering from that back-to-back loss. He's getting these round 1 stoppages. He goes into Junior Dos Santos, a common opponent between him and Stipe Miocic. You know what I'm saying? A common opponent. He finished JDS in round 1. Cancel bouts with Junior Dos Santos again. Jorginho Rosenstruck, who was another hyped up fighter, canceled again. He finally goes in there, and we all saw what happened. All Francis Ngannou did was blitz Rosenstruck and cracks him with a right hand. He goes up against the cage, falls down, and finishes him with punches in round 1. That's 4 fights in a row, round 1. It brings him back to a title shot with Stipe Miocic. That's how that shit worked. I mean, that's why I love mixed martial arts, the Muddy Flats, man. This shit I love. Now, Francis Ngannou, coming off back-to-back loss in 2018, And only a couple years later, he's back in a title fight with Stipe Miocic. Now, who wins this fight, man? I'm going to tell you. The way Stipe Miocic looked in there with Daniel Cormier, I have to favor Stipe Miocic in there against Francis Ngannou. Even though Ngannou is strong, big, tough, he has power, Stipe Miocic has learned from being knocked out by Daniel Cormier. He's learned that shit. Stipe Miocic didn't get knocked out from just standing there and trading. He was knocked out by Daniel Cormier out the clinch by a right hook that he never seen coming. But the good thing that he understands about Francis Ngannou, he doesn't have to worry about being in the clinch with Francis Ngannou. Ngannou doesn't have the clinch game and the dirty boxing of Stipe. But he can box. Stipe has better hands than Ngannou. I give the edge to Stipe Miocic to go in here and potentially reciprocate their first fight. I see him winning unanimous decision over Francis Ngannou again. Now, just because he went in there and knocked out Rozenstruik in round one, Rozenstruik admitted he didn't have confidence. You know what I'm saying? Two fighters with power. Rozenstruik, who split Alistair Overeem's lip all the way up to his nostril, split it open. People's like, oh, he got power, this crazy power. So Rozenstruik went there against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou was the one that pulled the trigger and knocked him out. With Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou, it's not going to have a problem with who's going to pull the trigger. It's going to come down to who fights the smarter fight. That's what it's going to come down to. Who's the smarter striker in there? And this is mixed martial arts, people. This is mixed martial arts. You're allowed the elbow kick, everything. So who's to say this fight may lead to Francis trying to take it to the ground? Is he comfortable with trying to take this fight to the ground? I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna. This is a heavyweight division. I don't think Francis Ngannou is gonna try to use that energy and take Stipe down. Stipe isn't just this fighter that's easily taken down. So if he uses up all that energy and don't get the takedown, he's in trouble. He might get stopped. It's possible, y'all. It's possible. Styles make fights. And look, I have to give a check mark to Francis, Stipe Miocic, because I believe he's improved since his losses and then regained his title and defending his title again versus Francis Ngannou, who, in my opinion, he has to show the world and myself that he's not just this heavy-handed behemoth who want to go in there and knock your head off. He needs to show poise. He needs to show that he's improving and being patient and being multifaceted in how he delivers his strike. He needs to show that he has a different game plan against Stipe. Stipe does. He showed it against DC. He said, I can make adjustments in this bitch, and I'm going to make you pay for it. That's just my opinion, man. And look, don't blink. This is going to be, let me go back. Look right here. For those of you that want to tune in, this is going to be UFC 260, y'all. UFC 260 right here. This is going to be UFC 260. So y'all be sure to tune in for that fight. Jay say Stipe body work in that third fight. Hold up for a second. Let me try to go up. Jay, that what made DC so good, the ability of wrestling and still able to throw hands when needed. A lot of heavyweights can't do that. I agree. That did separate Daniel Cormier from the rest of them. Dude was short, pudgy. He had his wrestling background. He rarely used kicks, but he put them paws on you. When he came over here undefeated from Strikeforce and he was wrecking shop, he put them paws on motherfuckers, dog. He said, I got my wrestling. I like that about DC. If there's any fight I want to interview in the UFC right now, is DC, period. Because what he was able to do once he came over to the UFC is extend what he was doing in Strikeforce. I have nothing but respect for him, man. Even though John Jones shut him down, that was his alpha. And then he stepped up to fight Stipe Miocic. He legitimately earned his second division championship. He became 2-division champion, champ in the light heavyweight and heavyweight division. He's legitimate. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best to ever do it. Now, yeah, he lost to Stipe in the rematch, but goddamn it, when he stepped up for the first time, he got the shit done. You might be right, Jay. Usman cardio and wrestling was in a whole nother level. Alex agreed, but Masvidal made it interesting on the stand-up. Should be a good fight. Y'all talking about freaking the rematch between Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. Stipe body work in that third fight was crazy. It was, man. It was pretty to watch. I was saying, when is he going to return back to the body work? When? Stipe adding that body work made him a complete fighter. Facts. Sir Kane in the building, salute to you. World Combat Sports, salute to the wrenches, and salute to the chat. Smash the like button. I appreciate you, my guy. Alex says salute at Sir Ken. Had to step away. What's the new topic? MMA. I just wanted to touch bases on that, man. I got Stipe edging out Francis Ngannou, potentially in a stoppage or a decision win. The reason why I say stoppage is we've seen Stipe Miocic able to make adjustments. And he stopped DC, which Francis Ngannou can't fuck with DC, in my opinion. He can't. The way that DC boxes, Stipe Miocic, he'll probably box Francis Ngannou different. You know what I'm saying? DC is a Hall of Famer. The reason why I say Stipe Miocic might potentially stop Francis Ngannou because Ngannou may come in with a different fight plan. He might try to get in close and push him up against the cage and try to work some inside boxing, some dirty boxing. But I truly believe, check this out. I truly believe that Francis Ngannou may attempt to play Stipe Miocic in close, just like Daniel Cormier was able to have success. And then he might attempt to try the same thing, try to catch Stipe Miocic on the inside with a right or left hook. I'm telling you, watch. If it could be a right or left hook or an elbow on the inside. All that shit is legal in mixed martial arts. So he might try to push him up against the cage and see if he get complacent, that one window, and try to catch him on the inside. Because Stipe has proven he can be knocked out. It's all about, can Francis Ngannou set him up and knock him out the same? Can he become world heavyweight champion with Stipe Miocic still in the division? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest with you. And for that Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal fight, hey, like I said before, it is the absolute perfect time for Jorge Masvidal to become a champion. This is absolutely his biggest fight. This is his biggest fight. Why? Because he needs to establish from street legend to world-class elite status that he can become world champion. He need to do that. He said with a full camp off with his head. We need Jorge Masvidal to come in here, Kamaru Usman, and prove that it's his time, and with a full camp, he's a much better fighter. The problem that I'm having now is Kamaru Usman is solid, dog. Kamaru Usman, oh my God. Look, this is a cat who I criticize the shit out of. I'll say 30%. Dude, you're boring as fuck. When he start notching these wins, Tyron Woodley. I said, okay. Kobe Covington. I said, oh shit, okay, all right. You know, he stopped Kobe Covington. What a grudge match. I said, all right. No, matter of fact, hold up. Matter of fact, let me do this right quick. Let's look at the Nigerian nightmare right quick. It's gonna be a good fight. Hey, a lot of people waiting on this fight because Jorge Masvidal, he has a huge following, y'all. He has a huge following. So check this out. Kamaru Usman, who's facing Jorge Masvidal, 18-1, right? But pick this out though. He has never lost in the UFC. Kamaru Usman only lost at CFA. All right? Combat Fighting Alliance. Boom. He's undefeated in the Ultimate Fighter Championship in the UFC. He's 33 years old. This is where it becomes special for Kamaru Usman on his championship run. He took the belt. Look right here. He took the belt from Tyron Woodley. Defeated Kobe Covington. Defeated Jorge Masvidal. So he has 2 title defenses. He just defeated Gilbert Burns, a teammate, a previous teammate of his. He stopped him in round 3, ground and pound. Gilbert Burns, a multi-time BJJ world champion. He defeated him with ground and pound. Now he's going in for his 4th defense. Just that easy. His 4th defense. Tyron Woodley had 4 defenses. Tyron Woodley crushed Robbie Lawler in round 1. He had a draw and a win over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And then he had a win over Damian Maia. He will equal Tyron Woodley's middleweight defense. Now, I'm just putting him with somebody as a recent, right? But him and Jorge Masvidal will fight next month on the 24th. Let's look at Jorge Masvidal right quick. Look at that record. This is another thing what I like about mixed martial arts. Look at that record. 35-14, and he's on the championship. Look, he's fighting for a championship again, y'all. This shit can't happen in boxing. You can't have a record like this and lose. Look, Jorge Masvidal lost. Look, he lost July 2020 as a last-minute replacement for a championship fight. He's back less than a year later. He hasn't fought nobody. He's about to step in there for a championship again. Only in mixed martial arts, man. Only in mixed martial arts. Real talk. Look at this shit. Look at this right here. This is very important. Look at that. He's getting up in age. This is the fight. 36 years old. He's getting up in age. But in mixed martial arts, the age doesn't really reciprocate the same as boxing miles. You know what I'm saying? But look, when you have 35, look how many fights he has, man. Over 45 professional mixed martial arts fights. Game bread. It's going to be a tough fight, man. I cannot sit up here and tell you all. I don't know, man. Man, Jorge Masvidal, he's going to have to bring his striking game to a whole nother level to defeat Kamaru Usman. Seriously. Forget about that Ben Askren shit. He's going to need a better performance than Nate Diaz. I'm telling you, man. He's going to have a better performance than Darren Till. He's going to have the best performance of his entire career because Kamaru Usman right here has wrestling. He has solid takedown defense, and he can motherfucking box. All those variables spell trouble for Jorge Masvidal. Guarantee it. Trouble, 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 shouty. Agreed, WCS, but remember that it was calling him out, that it was Usman calling him out. Well, Jorge Masvidal wanted the fight too. He said the fact that he did Dana White a favor by stepping in for Gilbert Burns, who caught COVID-19. Jorge Masvidal went in there in a championship fight and last minute notice and lost. So therefore, he wanted to come back on a full camp and fight for the title again. He wants to be world champion. The BMF belt means nothing when it comes down to it at the end of the day. So he wants to come back in there and fight one of the best that's in the game right here, Kamaru Usman. So whether Kamaru Usman called him out or Jorge, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that Jorge Masvidal, with everything he's amassed, he has to win. He has to motherfucking win. He has to beat Kamaru Usman. Else he's pretty much done with title shots as long as Kamaru Usman is in that seat. He's done. It don't matter if he went in there as a last minute replacement. Full camp this time. If he doesn't go in there and beat Kamaru Usman, he's just going to be a fighter with over 40-something fights fighting. He's going to get paid well, too. That's why I love MMA fighters. Take a loss or two, wipe that crap off, and come back swinging another day. Yep. That's why I like the Muddy Flats, man. That's why mixed martial arts is doing this damn thing. And a lot of it, like, you need to stay close to mixed martial arts to understand the names. Because the names aren't as popular mainstream as boxing names. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about these popular boxers and their name is all the way up here. But the popular mixed martial artists within the MMA community, the name, you know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe. I'm not gonna lie, it's a different type of energy. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna stop back on here and talk about this incredible fight that's coming up with my girl Thug Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili, man. Oh, that shit's gonna be wicked. That shit's gonna be wicked. Rose Namajunas has already been a champion. She defeated Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the first round. Oh man, we're gonna talk that talk and walk that walk and break down the women of this fight card that's coming up in UFC 261. And the only one that can do that is World Combat Sports. You know what it is, man. I'm definitely gonna give you that breakdown. Until next time, y'all turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Appreciate y'all for pulling up.